All right, this is Jimmy Cab's Tape to Broadcast. This is the 5150 interview series of Bulldozer Magazine. This is very interesting here. I have the distinct pleasure of not only knowing this gentleman here for over 30 years,
That's a long time.
but now I get to experience his palace here. I want to welcome and introduce Scott Peterson of Cryptic Slaughter.
Hello, Jimmy. Hello, everyone watching. Good to see you. Welcome to not just my home, me and my girl's home. Welcome.
This is a very lovely house. Wow, this Cryptic Slaughter money, really. I can see it.
Yeah, that's why I'm drinking Samuel Adams. That's how I'm bringing in the money.
We're here to discuss something that's very interesting, and I think you might find it interesting.
Okay.
Because we're going to time travel.
Okay.
But before we do that, we're living in an age where we are seeing the music that we literally saw come up
From nothing.
from nothing. We saw from the origins of the rock and roll, the punk, the heavy metal, and then it all fused into a whole new organic soil which grew these amazing bands in Los Angeles that nobody till this day documents. They don't give credit. Yeah, sure. It's impossible to literally, I guess you could say, document the tree. But there are bands that not only took that element and ran with it, but they created a genre of music which has gone on some 30 years later and literally influenced big name bands, big market name bands.
Yep.
Napalm Death, Hatebreed, we could go on and on. I'm sure we'll mention this.
Yeah.
But Cryptic Slaughter, the pioneering band of the crossover scene. Before there was crossover, there was punk and metal.
And you were one or the other.
You're one or the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were metal and if you went to the Olympic in Los Angeles, you would be. The punks would let you know that you were now welcome.
Oh, yeah.
So let's take a time travel back.
Okay.
Cryptic Slaughter, 30 years later. You haven't toured. You haven't recorded. We've matured.
Well, a little bit.
I know. I'm gonna get to the question
Okay.
here. How is it possible that Cryptic Slaughter is more popular now than when you were out and thriving and playing? And I mean, you're huge, not only in America, all over the world. And how do you feel about that?
Well, first, just want to say thank you to all the Cryptic Slaughter fans worldwide. Because without them, none of this matters. You're not talking to me. No one cares.
Right.
So without them, thank you. So from the bottom of my heart, as always, I'm a fan of yours. You're a fan of mine. Awesome. Why are we still talking about Cryptic Slaughter? I think we just wrote songs that we want to write, and we mix the styles that we want to mix, and it just stood the test of time. Why? You'd have to ask the fans. I mean, my honest opinion, I thought all our songs were great, and obviously our fans from back when we were younger now have kids and grandkids, and they're getting educated on good bands like Cryptic Slaughter, Beyond Possession, Excel, DRI, Dr. No, and it's good because it opens up their minds to other bands, and now with mass media, it's so easy to go find it, and I think that plays a big role in it as well, and I think the fact that some of our fans have gone on to make labels like FOAD, Relapse, and then they bring our bands back out and educate people about it. And then you have bands like Hatebreed who wear our shirts. It just helps. And if that's what, I don't know really what else to say, but I mean, that's why I think we're still talking about Cryptic Slaughter.
Do you think also the fact that back at that time from '84 on, as we mentioned, there wasn't a crossover title at that time. It was just musicians that were really listening to the punk and the heavy metal and crossed that whole energy they started creating a whole new dynamic of music that eventually just really blew up into what it is now. Before, there was no market for this.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you remember, like, Raw Power from Italy was doing crossover. You had Crumbsuckers from New York who were doing it. Then, if you came to LA, you had Cryptic Slaughter, you had, Dr. No who branched into it, and DRI who became into it as well. But, you know, you can even look at the first Suicidal Tendencies records. That's kind of crossover in my opinion, but none of us, as you know, back then ever called a crossover.
No.
We were thrash. That's what we were like. Oh, we're a thrash band, you know. And nowadays you have to put shit into a picture frame for some odd reason. I don't know why, but I just think the fact that you had so many bands that were into so much stuff and just wanted to play what they wanted to play. You know, we weren't gonna sing about Satan. We didn't know shit about Satan, so we wrote about what we liked. But we also liked different types of music, and we just chose to go that route. And it just happened to spark a style of music that, well, I guess we're credited for starting, but it's not just us. There's so many other bands. Like I said, Beyond Possession, Raw Power, Crumbsuckers, you know, those are the bands. All of us together, and there's many other bands that helped start that style. So I'm just glad we're mentioned in the same breath.
Metal Blade or Death Records released 3 of your pivotal albums.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And within the last couple of years, Relapse has been re-releasing these albums.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about the 2 re-releases, your first 2.
The first 2 were Convicted Money Talks. Well, originally were done 15 years ago, I think in 2000. Relapse first did it and reissued and added live tracks, covers and demo songs on there. And they approached Les, and at that time, Rob and I were the ones really talking, and Les got a hold of myself, Bill, and Rob, and told us that, you know, Relapse wanted to reissue it, and we were all just like, why?
Yeah.
Because then
Really?
in 2000 there was, you know, it's not like how it is now 15 years later, but we're like, okay, cool, we're all, you know, all about it. And from the beginning, Matt, and I'm drawing a blank on the other guy's name, so I'm sorry, were really just genuine fans, and they wanted people to know about Cryptic Slaughter. So how do you say no to that? And they did such a fucking awesome job. And now transfer over to last year, I think it was, they did the vinyl reissues, and they murdered it again. And that, I mean, I thank them for that, because so many fans discovered us from those reissues. And, you know, now they're going back and trying to get the originals. I don't even have the originals. I have, like, the albums on CD, but I don't even have the actual records.
Wow.
I only have all the reissues. That's how, you know, so I thank them for doing that and caring enough about our band to bring it out like that. So, and they did so much care and love behind it, like they do on everything. So, you know, it's awesome.
Convicted and Money Talks, for those of you that are not familiar with Cryptic Slaughter, which I don't see how, those have been classified as the premier examples of what became known as the crossover scene. And you played some very exceptional shows back at that time.
Yep.
And then somehow the band drifted apart. 1988, this is going to sound shocking to you.
I don't know.
Streams of Consciousness, I never owned this.
Well, how dare you? Give it back.
I had no idea. When this came out, 88, Metal Blade?
It came out July in 88, and by the time it came out, we were already broken up. So
I had no idea what this album was about, or what it pertained, or how it sounded, or anything. FOAD Records, based out of Italy.
Yes.
Great label. They've been releasing a lot of great stuff.
Yep. Discharge, Broken Bones, Raw Power, on it and on and on.
They just released Cryptic Slaughter, Streams of Consciousness. My question to you is do you feel comfortable with this album being out? Because when it came out, not only did your original fan base not perceive it as a Cryptic Slaughter record, or didn't even know it existed, it took a life of its own. It's been under the radar, but it's still documented as a must-have. And for someone being an original Cryptic Slaughter fan, and I don't have it, I'm a little embarrassed. But tell me about this record, and how do you feel about it being re-released?
I love it being re-released. I think it's some of the best songs we ever wrote. It just, unfortunately, the production sucks ass. And that was our choice to kind of go at it alone and try to do it ourselves, because we didn't feel Metal Blade was backing us up enough. And unfortunately, by doing that, we didn't work with Bill Matoyer, who's a
right. He's upset about that.
Yeah, I know. And Bill's a dear friend of mine, and I still love the guy to this day.
Love you, Bill.
Love you, Bill. You're a legend. And so we thought we could do it ourselves. we were terribly mistaken. In my opinion, we were terribly mistaken. I mean, it's some of the best songs we ever wrote, but the production is so awful, in my opinion, that it loses what Bill could have brought to it.
Right.
But at the same time, like you're saying, it has a life of its own. It's like people like it that way. Some people are like, oh, they went back to their demo sound. You know, like, was it intentional? It was like, no, we just fucked up. And I love to be like act like we like, oh no, we totally planned this. So here's what we're gonna do. No.
So we wanted it to sound like shit.
Yeah, that's exactly. That was our goal. Let's find the old Pabst Blue Ribbon in downtown LA and use a shitty fucking studio and record our masterpiece of destruction called Stream of Consciousness.
Wow.
No, you know, and it's. I love the fact that there's fans who, when I told them it was coming out and I said it was remastered, they were like, "Don't touch it."
Yeah.
And then you got other people going, "Fucking finally, it's done. It'll sound better." And it's like, to me, it's like whatever the fans like. If they like it messy and that's what they enjoy, then that's what it's for. Like that's music to me. It's like I can listen to. God, I'm trying to think of a band. Show No Mercy, and to me, that is the epic fucking thrash record. But then you can get someone else to say, oh, no, it's not. It's whatever those songs and that album speaks to you, that's what you take. And some people, it's like their baby, like, don't touch it, don't fuck with it. And other fans are just like, finally, you made it better. So I love the album. I'm proud of all 3 records we did. To say one's my favorite, I can't, because all 3 have a life of their own. And I'm just thankful as a musician to have left a mark in music, because I've done more than what most musicians have ever done,
Yeah.
and I don't take it for granted. I'm very thankful for that.